Chris, I got you a gift.
What? Jeez, what is this? Oh, I remember these horrible shirts. This is a Pentax shirt. You want me to wear this? This is a ladies large. There's no way it's gonna fit. No, I'm not wearing this shirt.
It's a gift.
I'm not wearing this shirt. Welcome back, DPReview TV viewers. Chris Nichols here with our second video of Pentax Week. And the first thing that I want to address is that this Pentax shirt fits lovely. So I guess I'm a ladies large from now on.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Jordan. The second thing I want to address is that we are coming to you from inside the house today because outside we have some Arctic weather from Siberia pulling down, and it is as cold in Fahrenheit as it is in Celsius, which means very, very, very cold. And what we're coming at you with today is a little retrospective on what we personally consider the most important Pentax cameras ever made because we love Pentax. Now here's the Pentax K1. This is really the pinnacle of Pentax SLR technology. We love this camera, but we want to take a look back on what we think are the best cameras that Pentax has come out with because we love this company and they've done so many amazing things. And it's important to take a look at Pentax because they really are a wildly innovative company. They've done so many things. The first Japanese SLR, the first use of a pentaprism in a camera. They pioneered super multi-coating lenses. They pioneered TTL photography and so many more things. And we take a look at the Pentax K1. This is not one of our most important cameras because we really consider this the culmination of all of that ingenuity. And just look at that. Look what you could do. They're rugged, incredible cameras. But let's get started with our list. We're gonna go back to the beginning for us, the Pentax K1000. Now I know that there are a lot of amazing and influential cameras before the K1000. I mean, you've got the Asahi Flexes, a many Spotmatics, I get it, but we really kind of wanted to stick to slightly more modern cameras, and I really think that the Pentax K1000 is special because so many photographers got their start with this camera. I mean, you know, any of the photographers such as ourselves approaching middle-aged very likely used a Pentax K1000 to learn on, and even students today are buying these in droves secondhand because they made over 3 million of these units and they are rugged and reliable. They just stick around. So this is such an influential camera because it got a lot of people their start. The Pentax K1000 with its very simple design, its mechanical shutter was incredibly reliable and dependable. It wouldn't fail. And you have to appreciate that running from production from 1976 to 1997 puts it up there with some of the longest running cameras of all time. And there's something to be said for that. Ask anybody who did start on a Pentax K1000 and they always look back on those memories with love. Now, number 2 on our list, we're gonna change formats. We're looking at the classic beast, the original beast, the Pentax 6x7. I mean, first off, you gotta talk about the wooden handle. It makes this camera perfect for swinging, which carries on an ancient Japanese warrior tradition of hitting each other with very heavy objects. I think personally it looks like a World War II anti-tank gun rangefinder myself. I mean, the body alone was over 5 pounds, and yet a very simple design. When everybody else was going with different format shapes, they decided to go with basically an oversized 35mm looking SLR, but of course in 120 or 220 film formats. And even though simple and dare I say clunky the camera was, it did have some very good image quality, excellent Pentax lenses. The body also did a really good job of keeping the film flat against the film plane. And the shutter at faster shutter speeds worked very well. At slower shutter speeds, it just shook the camera like a tsunami. However, they did help to rectify that back in 1976 when they then came out with a version that had a mirror lockup capability. That really opened up a lot of potential to shoot longer exposures and slower shutter speeds. And Jordan personally finds that shutter mechanism incredibly satisfying when it shakes his entire upper body every time he takes a picture. Personally, I think the shutter is great for the cripplingly insecure, but that's just my opinion. And it was a beautifully complete system, lots of SLR attachments and finders that you could throw on the camera, leaf shutter lenses to get past the abysmal flash sync that camera had at 1/30th of a second. It really was a very professional kit. And with the 6.7 II, the modern version, it really tied that all together to make a very easy, full functional camera that many people still enjoy to this day. Okay, so we go from Pentax making very heavy, clunky cameras to our next on the list. This was actually a fully featured professional body that competed with cameras like the Canon F1 and the Nikon F3, and yet it was one of the most compact bodies on the market. We are talking next about the 1980s Pentax LX. Now, even though the Pentax LX was compact, it was a full-featured professional body. Full cast metal construction, sealed very well. It had great viewfinder, depth of field previews, advanced mirror lockup controls, a great frame counter. And the Pentax LX also featured an advanced light metering system that read light right off the film plane. Now, Olympus actually pioneered this. Leica also used a version of it in their cameras, and then Pentax put it into the Pentax LX. But it was a very advanced meter that could read and adjust exposure times during a live exposure. They also had TTL flash capability on the Pentax LX, as well as motor drive options and many different viewfinders for their SLRs. And I know for me personally, if I was going to pick up a Pentax film camera to use again, although the MX is a purest mechanical piece of art, I'd probably still go with the technical marvel that is the LX. Now, our next camera on the list is the Pentax Auto 110, and I mean, this is not an amazing camera by any stretch, but what it did showcase and what we love about it was just how forward-thinking Pentax was. They were a company that were willing to go outside the box, try something radical, and see if it would stick. And it was a lot of this forward thinking that became a hallmark of their company for years to come, sometimes with really successful ideas like Astro Tracer, which all Pentaxians love to this day, sometimes strange quirky novelties like the Pentax Q, where they tried to relive the Auto 110 Super's kind of capabilities in the digital era, and sometimes completely baffling and ridiculous like the K01, but Pentax was always brave enough to give it a try. Now, the Pentax Auto 110 and the Super series, they weren't very popular cameras, but they were technically amazing cameras. The world's only interchangeable lens SLRs for the 110 film format. And that meant that these lenses were incredibly compact. They were optically fantastic, but also truly adorable. They even had a really nice zoom lens for such a small system. What it really brings me to feel is that Pentax engineers were maybe psychic. You know, the Auto 110 film format was very similar in size to the Micro Four Thirds format. So were they seeing into the future, or was it just a coincidence? Probably just coincidence, because otherwise the company would probably be doing better if they were like psychic. All right, so now for the next camera on our list, it's time to fast forward to the digital era, 2006. Now, although Pentax made some amazing DSLRs over the years, like the K5s, the K3s, the K20s, all of these famous Pentax cameras, all of the features and all the things that we loved on those SLRs, those were all pioneered with the K10D. This was really the Pentax DSLR that paved the way forward for what a Pentax SLR is going to be known for. Now, 2006 was a very competitive year, and we're talking 10 megapixel sensors at this point in a lot of the cameras. So the K10D was designed to compete not only against famous cameras like the Nikon D80 and the Canon Rebel XTI, which were popular at the time, but because of things like its rugged body, its advanced weather sealing, its SDM autofocus support, this camera actually also competed against some of the more professional bodies. It really offered great value for the dollar and gave you a lot for your camera to appeal to both the beginner or the enthusiast alike. Now, on a personal note, Jordan and I were both working camera stores in 2006, and I remember that this was really the last part of that whole era where a customer would come in off the street and might very well go Nikon, Canon, or Pentax for the first time. The K10D, they were selling well and were a viable option. It made Pentax one of the big three companies. I say this because I feel that after the K10D, new customers were going Canon or Nikon, and the only people that were buying K3s, K5s, K20s, and so on were existing Pentax users by that point. And for our last camera on the most important Pentax cameras of all time, it's gonna go to the Pentax 645Z, although I do have to give an honorable mention to the 645D that came before it, because that was really the camera that broke into the medium format market and said, this is accessible to everybody, it's affordable to everybody, you do not have to be a huge studio owner or a multimillionaire to buy a medium format camera. But come 2014, we had a big improvement. We had the 645Z. Now, this camera really stepped up the game with the new 50 megapixel CMOS sensor that was now becoming huge on the market. It raised the ISO game quite a bit. It gave you tons of resolution, and yet this camera was still affordable. You got to keep in mind at this time, Phase 1s and Hasselblads, like, although very capable cameras, were expensive and weren't very rugged, and you did not want to really take them in the field very often. This body handled beautifully, it autofocused quickly, and it was incredibly rugged. It was the kind of camera that you could take out into the wild and enjoy, and for that reason, a lot of landscape photographers adored this camera. I think we should all appreciate that in 2014, the 50 megapixel CMOS sensor in this camera was easily outcompeting a lot of full-frame sensors on the market as well, and even today is still in use in a lot of modern medium format cameras. And it paved the way, honestly, for cameras like the Fuji GFX series. So if you enjoy those cameras, go hug a Pentaxian right now. The last thing that was amazing about the Survive Z? Video. Okay, it was garbage, but you know, it was there. I hope you enjoyed that little retrospective look back. Keep in mind that these are just our personal choices for the 6 most important Pentax cameras we think were on the market. They have many viable options for that. And the last thing I want to say is this. You know, I hope through the video you get the sense that we love the Pentax name, because we really do. Do they suck at marketing their brand? Yes, absolutely. Have they made anything wildly innovative in the last few years? No, not really. And I think you just have to appreciate that Pentaxian users are so passionate and so vehement about their name because they love the brand so much. We hear that there's going to be a new APS-C camera on the market. We can't wait to play with that. If they keep making interesting, innovative products, we will absolutely love to honestly review them. And I personally hope that they absolutely will stick around for many, many years to come. And please, we encourage you to leave comments below. Let us know what you think about the Pentax brand. Let us know what you think are the most important cameras they've made. We'd love to see that. Check out Instagram and Twitter. Do go to DPReview.com. We got sample galleries. We just reviewed the Pentax 11 to 18, so check out that video if you've missed that. And hopefully Pentax will be around for another Pentax week, maybe next year.